Have you ever played Rock Band? You know, that rhythm action game that turned our social gatherings into multiplayer jam sessions? If so, you've experienced the magic of multi layered skill building feedback. And let me tell you, that didn't happen by accident. The team behind that massive hit spent months iterating and prototyping the core experience with a group of players that, guess what, weren't our target audience. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about the number one lesson I learned working on the massive hit Rock Band. And that lesson also applies to other hits I worked on, like The Sims, eBay, Netflix, Covet Fashion, and Happify. And be sure to stick around to the end, because I'll show you how to take that design lesson and apply it to your own work. It was a sunny September day in Half Moon Bay, California, and I was sitting in my living room, enjoying the ocean view, listening to the brilliant, visionary CEO of a hot gaming startup tell me about this crazy idea he had for a multiplayer music game. A game where people with no musical talent playing simple plastic instruments could feel like they were in a band together making music. And we thought maybe they'd even develop their musicality and get better at a real skill. Well, that crazy idea turned into Rock Band, the breakthrough worldwide hit. And much to our delight, a few years later, a scientific study confirmed what Alex Rigopoulos, that visionary CEO, foresaw all those years ago. It turns out Rock Band players improve their musical perception simply by playing the game. If you've played a lot, I bet you know what I mean. Now, back in the early days, our testing sessions were filled with hardcore rhythm action gamers, players who'd mastered Guitar Hero, the studio's earlier game, and were eager to check out their new multiplayer project. As the social systems designer on Rock Band, my work involves studying our target market and creating models and scenarios so we could understand their behavior and social patterns. And because of that, I knew these hardcore early testers weren't our eventual target market. And at the time, I didn't understand it. And to be honest, it drove me crazy. I had a really hard time with that. But when Rock Band turned from a challenging project into a smash worldwide hit, I realized that I had learned a key principle of innovation, a principle that I'm teaching you right now. Before you build out your entire journey, test and tune your core experience with passionate early superfans. Now, everyone on the team knew that for this risky, expensive game to succeed, we'd have to reach a much wider group of casual party gamers. But what I didn't realize then, and I know now, is that to reach that larger group, we first had to capture the hearts and minds of an earlier group, those hot core early superfans. In a very real sense, these people were our co-creators, our collaborators, because they were able to see what our crude mock-ups and simple artwork might become and give us actionable feedback on how to make it better. Now, that doesn't mean that we never tested with our eventual market. Later on during beta, when our game was further along and we had refined our onboarding, we did test and refine the game with those casual party gamers that we were truly targeting. But it was those early superfans that truly helped us breathe life into the game. And that's the paradox of successful innovation. By definition, successful innovations end up reaching the majority. That's why they're successful. But in practice, they never start out that way. As Airbnb co-founder Brian Chesky says, build something 100 people love, not something that 1,000,000 people kind of like. Now, here's the juicy part. In our early Rock Band testing sessions, we didn't test the whole game. In fact, we spent 6 months testing just one song. We used that time to refine the experience, to refine the feedback, and to refine both playing one instrument and then the multiple instruments together. Check out what Rock Band producer Tracy Rosenthal-Newsom has to say about this experience. So let's talk a little bit about those folks you mentioned who you bring in to help you tune. They're not your dev team, who you first tested on, but they're not your target market, who you're aiming for. They're this in-between group of people. What are some of the ways that you learned how to really leverage those people? And then as a studio, how do you not get caught just designing for them? How do you do the hard work that lets you build a massive mainstream hit like Rock Band? How do you go from, yeah, it works for my super fans to, okay, now we're going to ship this thing to the mainstream?
Yeah, so the playtesting process for us was fundamental. I mean, absolutely fundamental to how we would tune our games, all of them. So it was important to, in the beginning, bring in music gamers because, you didn't want to have to build an entire tutorial for your early testing. What you really wanted to understand is, is the interface making sense? Is the feedback working? How is the feel? Especially with the drum game, we really needed this very, very tight iteration on, how quickly can they learn? Do they even understand it? The other thing is it's useful to bring people in who are playing maybe at a medium or hard level in the beginning to be able to be working on the sort of expanded features just in the little learning loop. As you move along, though, when you're making a product and a video game for a really mainstream audience, and we were very aware that people were going to play this game in many different ways. There are people that are going to play, they're going to start on easy, they're going to go to medium, and that's it. They're never going to really try to go any further. They're having an amazing time. They never thought that they could feel like a musician, and they are. They don't even care about their score. They're just like thrilled to feel this way. And then there's other people who are going to come in and they're going to work super, super hard over and over again to play all the way to expert, on the hardest song. And so we needed all of those kinds of people to come in and play. In addition, as you begin to figure out, well, what do we need to teach people, right? How much of an onboarding experience do you need? What types of tutorials are necessary? You really want to bring in people who are unfamiliar with your experience and ensure that you're communicating effectively. I think in the end, the more simple mechanics were the ones that were more successful. And part of that had to do with how much of your brain space was required to see the interface that you needed to be doing to achieve your individual instrument. And so the more simple the collaborative mechanics were, the more people were able to connect with each other and still get that feeling.
Phew! As you can see, tuning that core learning loop was really hard work, but it was time well spent. Once we'd hammered that out, we set to work polishing our onboarding and creating a compelling journey where you could play in bigger and bigger venues, take on harder and harder songs, and wear cooler and cooler outfits. And then, in the end, we were able to deliver a game that let you feel like you were truly playing music with other people and getting, even for a few moments, to live out that fantasy life of a rock star. And none of that would have happened if we hadn't gotten our learning loop right first. So when you're designing your customer journey, remember, test and tune your core experience with a small group of early hot core customers before you've built out the whole thing. If you want to create delightful, engaging products and build habits that stick, that's your path to success. Did you enjoy this video? Please give it a like. Even better, subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss our weekly videos. Want more? To learn how to design a great customer journey for your project, sign up for our free 3-day journey challenge. In this lightweight online training, you'll learn the basics of customer journey design and learn how to analyze the journeys of some familiar products and of your competition. To learn more and sign up, go to gamethinking.io/journey. I'll see you in the challenge.